Welcome to iHeartGeek.
And that's how Kiss saved Christmas.
Again?
Yeah. And welcome to another episode of iHeartGeek.
And
I did do
I'm glad to be here at another episode of iHeartGeek.
And so am I.
And we're at the finish line, guys. This is our trilogy. We
are nowhere near the finish line. What are you talking about?
This
is just phase 3.
There's 17 more phases of the MCU, isn't there?
You guys can do those shows all by yourself.
Oh, okay.
I'm done.
Didn't they say they got another 35 years of content, something like that?
Something like that.
Well, they haven't even touched the X-Men universe yet.
Oh,
so
right.
Why are we bringing this up? Oh, yeah, we'll stop. Yeah. Okay, let's go around the... Well, let's see. iHeartGeek today is brought to you by a nice sense of closure.
Wrapped up in a little bow.
Which maybe some people might say that it had enough closure to be done with the universe. Some wouldn't, but some might say that.
One might say that. Everybody else probably wouldn't.
Everybody, huh? We'll get into all this. This is just fights that have been happening for hours. Okay, so I am Dub, and I am your host. And across the table, we have...
Me?
You. I'm mixing it up.
We go in clockwise order. I'm the second
Usually.
one, okay? All right, well, I am Kaj, your friendly neighborhood Kaj.
And geographically, you are the only one across the table.
That is true.
So why was there hesitance?
Okay.
And how are you feeling today?
It's not even suspenseful anymore.
It isn't.
It's lost its whole
lost its edge.
Suspenseful nature. They're just sitting there with the drink going, who's going to 5, 4. You got to mix it up, Kaj.
Okay. I'm feeling capital.
Oh, capital. Nice.
Done.
Props.
Thank you.
I like that one.
Thank you. And the Oscar goes to...
Not you.
Me.
Well, maybe next time you'll play Young Frankenstein, you'll be Young Frankenstein and get the Oscar.
Oh. Salt.
Frankenstein.
No. Oh, no, it's fine.
Okay, and to the right, we have our good buddy, the polar bear himself, PB&Jason.
That's me.
That's you.
Both of them.
How are you doing today, sir?
I'm great. I'm having fun. We're doing Marvel.
Do you feel like you ran a marathon yet? This is our third. We've never done a 3-part episode before.
Yeah, this is this is cool. I mean, I love the MCU, so it's not really that hard. It's cool.
I want to give you a little extra, little something, because you've been begging to do at least a 2-parter for a year.
Yeah, that's true. And so you gave me a 3.
We got a 3.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Now I can't ask you for anything for like the next 6 years.
That's absolutely. Why else would I do this?
Exactly.
15,000 contracts.
Always an ulterior motive. No, I'm
always. Kidding. Okay, and we have a second timer on the mic.
I think you got to get to 3 before you're a regular guest. So he's still a.
By next month he'll be a regular guest. He's good.
Okay.
He's
still an irregular guest.
Well, I got some fiber for you, bud. Okay, we have our buddy Blythe. How are you doing, bud?
Doing great. I'm glad to be back. Last time I was here, we had just come off of Endgame, and as of yesterday, I saw Endgame again. So
you're really trying to get it above that Avatar.
We're gonna take out James Cameron. Those blue people in space. We're done with them.
Just
we're
a
going all
MCU.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. You were on the Endgame episode. You did a fine job on that show. I enjoyed it. I wasn't on it, so I listened to it, and I liked it.
Yeah. Good.
So now being on the other side of the mic again, how is it being on the mic versus being off the mic?
It's a lot less frustrating. Sometimes listening to the show, you really want to jump in there and get your opinions in there and kind of talk to you guys. And I think that's one of the best things about the show is that it really just feels like you're part of the gang. And
that probably never happens when I talk because I'm like right all of the time.
Well, actually, no. Technically, this is his 3rd appearance because he was on the Phase 1 episode for about 10 seconds.
Oh, right before Carl Pyle drove him.
Because Carl was wrong on something, and Bly's had to.
He's been
stand
hanging
up
around
for
me
him.
too long.
He just gradually just came in like Jarvis and was like, no.
No, sir.
Speaking
The
of
whole
which,
I remember that. I was there.
You was. Okay, so this is our third part. I'm pretty sure you guys have gotten the gist of what we're doing now. We're gonna start with telling you all the movies that were in Phase 3, and then we're going to discuss them just a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna go with Captain America: Civil War, which was fantastic. Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Thor: Ragnarok, Black Panther, Avengers: Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Avengers: Endgame, and Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Which is upcoming.
It's upcoming. We haven't
In
seen that
July.
one yet, so we can't talk about that, but
Right.
we can talk about everything else. This is the only phase that had 2 Avengers movies in it.
Yeah.
or just one big long Avengers movie.
Well, you could say it's the first trilogy's one movie, I guess, if you really want to go there.
No. I mean, just Infinity War and Endgame. That was just one big long movie.
That, oh my god, my bladder would die. It did look like a sprinkler.
It did.
Yeah. I don't know if that came off as
This was
funny, but
definitely,
I'm not
it
pointing.
was hysterical.
No.
No, this is a
Shut up, Jason.
no. This was an interesting phase. You had
This was, I think, the best
lot-
phase,
You had a lot of introduction in this phase.
which is weird.
You had a lot of evolution in this phase. They kind of did some real evolutionary changes to some of the characters. Like I would say Thor. They moved him much more to being a comedic,
Yeah.
like far more comedic
Yeah.
character.
Maybe in the Avengers movie, Ragnarok, I don't think he was very comedic.
What?
Yeah. No, I think that's really where they picked the direction that they wanted
Yeah,
him to
it was
go.
actually in
because
Ragnarok.
I feel like it didn't change that
until-
much from earlier.
Until Ragnarok, you kind of had both sides of it. Like he would tiptoe around being that little bit of comedic relief, like in Thor 1 where he takes the coffee cup, he slams it on the ground,
Right.
like those kinds of things. But then in Ragnarok, they really took that
They embraced
character,
it.
yeah, and I think
They pushed him into the. I mean, he could still be serious, of
Yeah,
course.
no,
but
for sure.
They pushed him into more of a character to laugh with. I wouldn't say laugh at. I'd say laugh with.
yeah.
You got a point. I can't argue with it.
All right, so this has been bugging me. So now, since we're into Phase 3, I want to kind of address the elephant in the room of this. For me, I should say, do you feel? I love the movie. Don't get me wrong, but do you feel that they should have introduced Captain Marvel,
No.
especially with Endgame? Because
Though you mean right before.
to me, my strong opinion about it is that the movie was great. It was a Phase 1 movie, not necessarily a Phase 3 movie, and not even Phase 4, just because it felt like it should have been with the Phase 1 crew, so that we had another some time to marinate her, and then we get to. I'm like, all right, well, great. She's going to be a huge part of Endgame, and she was a fizzle. She was barely even there, and her excuse was, well, I'm off world, I got other things I have to do. It's like, well, why were you in the movie in the
What's
first
the
place?
point?
Which
Yeah.
I think is fine. I think that's a good way to explain where she's been for the last 20 years. That's her movie was in the 90s, and then 20 years later, that explains where she's been all this time. But yeah, I think like what you said in Endgame, for her to in the first 20 minutes of the movie, they use as an excuse again for her to be gone for the whole movie. I like the character Captain Marvel. I'm a fan of the character from the comic books. I liked her movie, and I want to see her go down in other phases. But yeah, I do think that she was shoehorned into
Let
that.
me offer
It was
you.
bad timing.
Let me
Yeah.
offer you a scenario, because I actually have thought about this, like how I think they would have done her, and it would have been awesome. One, all the press outside of the movie, shut up, stop talking about her. That would have been a good start. Okay, but what they should have done is not released her movie before Endgame, the 90s movie. They should have, in Endgame, what should have happened is Tony Stark on the verge of death should have seen the sparkling lights,
And that's it.
then the ship should have shown up back on Earth, and nobody knew how it got there.
That would make more sense.
Then she makes an appearance in Endgame when she shows up and destroys Thanos' ship. That's the first time we see her, because It's the first time we see her because we saw at the end of Infinity War him call her Nick Fury.
Right.
So we knew that she would be coming. So leave it a mystery. Sparkly lights, the ship shows up, and then her real first appearance is when she destroys Thanos' ship. Okay?
Okay.
They could have done that. Even done it the way that they done it, the way that they did it with her there. She could have had the same fight, the whole thing, and then after Endgame, present her movie. Then we could get to know her. We could get to know a little bit about the story, the Nick Fury connection, things like that. I think it would have served that character so much better.
Yeah,
to do it that way.
Just for the fact, because once we saw that she was in there, once her movie came out, then people were like, they started reading the comic books, like, oh, she is far stronger than Thanos is, and she could have very easily taken him down, and she didn't. Like, she could have easily just went in there, beat him up, took the Infinity Gauntlet off him, and called it a day. And I think they downplayed her character very, very much. And I like your kind of almost like a Thanos type of thing of like, to show her, say that there are bigger entities out there in the universe. I definitely think she's gonna be the flagship, like what Captain America was for this first saga. She's going to be the one that's going to be leading the charge in the second saga.
I also think they need to be a little cautious with Carol Danvers because Carol Danvers is an established character in the comic books for decades. Mm-hmm. People know who she is, okay? Mm-hmm. And she was Warbird. She was Miss Marvel. She was these various characters. She's never been Thanos level powered. Never, even when she was binary. Mm-hmm. She was close.
Yeah.
But for them to have... I mean, I don't care that she's really powerful. That's fine. But for them to have been off the movie in the press going, oh, she's the most powerful. Oh, this, oh, that, oh, that, did not serve her character well. Okay?
Yeah. And it's fine if she's the most powerful. Thor has been the most powerful, but they've always handled Thor in a way where he didn't feel like he was... invulnerable,
which is
like,
the right way of doing it.
Right.
In Infinity War, Thor does the same thing that she does in Endgame. He flies through one of those ships that's holding all the Outriders on it and completely decimates it. So you can handle her in a way where she's not too over the top. But I think they're treading a fine line right now.
It's
with
the two times that they honestly off in interviews need to just shut up. We don't need to hear anybody tell us that Captain Marvel is the most powerful. Yeah. We also don't need anybody to tell us that Shuri is the smartest. Mm-hmm. Okay, let us figure that out on our own. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actions speak louder than words.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, so let's well, that was off. Let's hit into Captain America: Civil War. That was the first one of Phase 3.
Great movie.
Great movie. The elevator scene was beautiful. You know what I'm talking about? Well, does anybody want to get off?
That's Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier? Yeah. Oh, never mind. That's not then.
Time stone.
That's what we call the editing stone. So, no, what was your favorite parts of Civil War?
The introduction of Spider-Man. Oh my
God,
Spider-Man. There was no, I mean, and Black Panther,
and Black Panther as well, too.
Two of my favorite comic book characters introduced in the same movie in great ways.
Yeah.
You know.
And the marketing was great for it because you didn't know that Spider-Man was going to be in it. I think until like it almost came out, they started including him in the marketing.
Scene with him landing on the roof.
But that's
with the shield.
when, and that's when they really started editing the trailers so it wouldn't give out spoilers. Because when they did the lineup at the airport in the trailers, he wasn't there.
No, he wasn't.
And then they put him in, which is great.
Right.
Now, do you wish they would have the end of Phase 2 had like a spider web or something in a post credit?
No.
No, you liked it. You liked
I loved it. Iron Man shows up at Peter's place and knows who he is. Oh, I loved it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I that was definitely enjoyable. Again, that's the last superhero movie that I went to with my dad. He's still around, so we'll see more. But he doesn't really dig the superhero movies. But Captain America, we go to every time there's a new Captain America.
Nice.
So
And that's the one thing I like about the Captain America series is that it's like even. It's grounded. It's definitely, there are superheroes that are in it, but it's definitely grounded in a good solid base of just a human that gets extraordinary abilities, and it kind of keeps him grounded to earth instead of it being so like I don't want to say universal, but like some of these other characters are just so above him, but he still holds his own with them as well too.
And the other thing, say what you will about the DC Universe movies, okay? I remember there was a time before Civil War came out, actually, where you got that whole big Marvel's all jokes and kitty and funny, and DC's all dark and serious, and you had the DC fans being like, it's so much better, da 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 da, for that reason, and that whole fight was stupid. But then Civil War comes out, and they did some dark things in that movie. You know, yeah, it had a couple of the little jokes with Sam Wilson telling Bucky, I hate you, you know, whatever.
Right.
But they did the dark, I mean, the death of the Wakandan, you know,
T'Chaka,
the death of the
his father.
Wakandans, the death of the king,
Yeah.
the paralyzation of Rhodes,
Right.
You know, the Tony seeing his parent. I mean, all the things that happened. in Civil War.
Right.
There was dark moments, you know. So that whole thing that kind of put to bed that whole argument for most people.
You know, I don't feel like they went enough into the Civil War thing. They did, but I think they could have gone so much farther with it. It was set up to. I don't feel like they really explored.
Let me ask Blythe a question. You Blythe, are you a big book fan as well? Okay, so you read Civil War. Okay, now do you like the fact that the movie kind of lightened up the tone of Civil War a little bit?
Yes, and this was one of the things going into Civil War before it came out that I was a little worried about. I was like, how are they going to do this movie? Because there's just some characters that don't exist within the MCU yet, and things like that. But I think this really proved that they could take an arc from the comic books and put it into the movie universe and have it make sense with what's going on and just do it well. Because it doesn't need to. The stuff from the comic books don't need to fully flesh out in the movie universe. When you try and do that, you make mistakes.
Right.
And I think that Civil War was just a really good representation of how you can take a storyline and you can make it your own.
Right.
The kind of like almost the cliff notes of that, because Civil War was massive too, because
It should have been a two-parter.
So many, well, that could have been a TV series all on its own, just with the Identification Act and how different people had different opinions about it, and then finally Spider-Man was the one that first they went like, yes, I am with Iron Man on this. I will reveal my identity of this. And with the movie version of it, it was more of like a military thing. Like, well, you just can't go willy-nilly wherever you want to and save the world. There's rules on that, and then that's how they made that the
distinction.
The Civil War.
You know, I'm a huge fan of Mark Millar as a writer, but Civil War turned me off the book in a lot of ways because because the book did, because of the dark places that story went in the comics. I did not like that comic going that dark.
I never liked Spider-Man going on that
with
side.
the heroes getting that deadly.
Oh
with
yeah,
one another.
One of my favorite parts from that book is when Captain America has his whole underground secret Avengers, and then they start recruiting villains, and the Punisher walks in and immediately just takes out all the villains.
Right.
And he's like, "What are you doing? Like, we're heroes. Why are we siding with villains?" And those were the kinds of things that
that's
I
also
really liked
where he
about
wouldn't
the book.
fight Cap.
Yeah.
But see, now, I always say stay away from politics with any conversation, blah, blah. But I do have to say this. That was the definition of politics. This is, if you're on one side or the other, you hate the other side, even though they're both heroes. They're both good people. And they hate each other because of a political crap.
Yeah, I'm not saying
that's why I love Civil War.
I'm not saying it wasn't.
Really is. It doesn't take a side.
Well, it's a society. It's society politics as well too, because it's basically it's us regular average humans that don't have any superpowers so scared that these people. Well, the mutant thing has been going on for a while, but then they just kind of enveloped all superheroes of like, you guys are stronger than us. You guys could take us out at any point in time. We need something to kind of give us a shield and a sword that we can protect ourselves.
I'm not saying it wasn't.
And it just got nasty.
I'm not saying it wasn't well written, because it certainly was. I prefer the movie because the movie did not get as dark as the book.
Right. Yeah.
So I like the idea, just not the darkness that the book did.
Okay,
Gotcha.
Let's move on to, this is the first time that I realized I was going through superhero burnout, because this was the first Marvel movie that I didn't see in the theaters was Doctor Strange. It wasn't like a purposeful choice. I was like, I'll get to it. My kids saw, my wife saw, I'm like, waited for video, and I wish I would have seen it in theaters, because the visual on it is absolutely stunning and gorgeous. But this is the danger of how many movies we've gotten, when we've gotten everything we've asked for now. And it's like, okay, I need a break. And it was that was me. That's when I started to hit the burnout.
Well,
Not me, man. I love Benedict Cumberbatch. as
I
Strange.
think he did great. I love the movie.
And Strange is
It's
it's a different. It's a I don't want to say an acquired taste, but it's if you like the mysticism and magic and that kind of like other realm things, then you're gonna love it. Like I loved it too. Mm-hmm. But if you're not into that, then you're not going to enjoy it as much.
It does help that that's a character I didn't really connect with. I never liked him.
Yeah, I was a huge Doctor Strange fan. So seeing
I
him
still
come,
don't like his comic.
Yeah, seeing him come and
Great character in the movies.
And the fact that Cumberbatch pulled off the Greenwich Village accent, I thought was awesome that he did that.
Oh my gosh!
And that he pulled that out. I don't even know what superhero burnout means. What does that even mean?
It means that I wasn't excited and I didn't go see the midnight showing of. As a superhero freak, I didn't care enough to go. There's now been 3 of these movies total that I didn't see in the theaters because I was like, I'll get to it, and I just. Now it's at a point now I pick and choose this is a character I like. I'm definitely going to go.
Okay.
And I don't think that I'm alone in that.
No,
and this
probably
is
not.
one thing that they really do need to be concerned with. I mean, if someone like me is not going to every midnight showing, give me another 6 months in between. Give me something, and give me a superhero movie every 6 months. I am happy, but it's just there's so much.
I don't think it's so much of burnout. I think that's good. I think it's good that we're getting so many comic book movies, superhero movies nowadays that now you can pick which ones you want to go and see. Before it was like you had to wait years and years for one to come out, and more than likely it wasn't good. Yeah. But now we're at the point where you were at the point now
at a 50-50
where you can choose not to go see one in theaters, and that's okay because your favorite character has one coming out in 6 months.
Yeah.
Sure. And I just think we're
The thing is, though, we geeks were waiting forever for this to be a reality.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
You can't do enough superhero movies to burn me out. There's absolutely no way.
And it's still fresh. Like
if they're let me caveat, if they're good movies.
Yeah.
If they start getting crappy, then we have a problem.
These stories have been out for decades now, but they've never really been able to go to the screen. And just for me, like with Hollywood in general, it feels like they're just regurgitating the same movies over and over again. And I was tired of that. At least with the Marvel movies, and hopefully eventually the DC universe will. I mean, these are stories that are fresh that I've wanted to see for a long time.
Again, I have to ask you, and even let's apply this to DC, which I know Dub, you're a bigger fan of. But don't you go? Oh, I can't wait to see it, Brainiac. On the film, I can't wait to see. That's what it is. That's why they can't do too many.
But that's the character. I mean, again, going back to Doctor Strange. I never really cared about him as a character.
That's fine.
So that's what it is.
A couple of the other ones that we'll get to, I don't care about them.
Well, with the MCU, that doesn't matter to me because I'm like, even if it's, I never cared. I never cared about Ant-Man. Ever did I care about Scott Lang?
Yeah.
But they did a great job with him.
They did. They made a very fresh movie, and it's awesome when they do it. As I say, this is just the first one that I noticed that I didn't go to the theater.
I got you.
Yeah. No. Sure.
Looking back, I think this movie is one of the better ones, honestly. The visuals on this are absolutely stunning. The story's good. It's not the best movie they put out, but it's a good story. The acting's fantastic, but the visual is just
and they've
bar none the best.
They've had some key things in there as well too. Well, like with Dormammu, there it was kind of like cracking the door open to the multiverse and the other entities in this universe alone that we can expand upon once we merge with Fox, and then we can get our stuff back.
I personally hope they capitalize on Dormammu. I hope they capitalize on that character.
Yeah,
great character, but I don't think they're going to. They kind of have him in a time loop now.
Well, if they're now that we can talk about it a little bit, if they're going to do Adam Warlock, then they can. Yeah, they can.
Yeah, it's hard to say what they're going to. I mean, they've got such a rich tapestry of stories that it's hard to say what they're really going to do. But I know that Kevin Feige's got a plan. So,
well, is he still doing it?
Yeah,
Kevin Feige. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be scared when he's not doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move.
I think we should create a law that he can't leave.
Yeah.
He has to keep doing it.
It's like, oh no, you sit back in that chair.
Okay, let's move on to the first of 3 movies from 2017. Yeah, that's a lot. And this one was the one I was excited to see again because the first one was so good, was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. These are characters, and honestly, the first one, if I would have been in Burnout, I wouldn't watch the first one because I hate the Guardians of the Galaxy as a comic book. I've never liked it. I know you're a bit of a fan.
No. I'm not a big Guardians of the Galaxy fan.
It's a boring comic book. They have all this chance to up it now, and it's still not good. My own opinion. You guys can disagree if you want, but these movies are probably my favorite thing out of the MCU now. But the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, they opened the door for Adam Warlock, and they've opened the door to bring in other characters. Thor's coming in as part, and I love it.
I really only have one issue with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Fire away.
Again, I think that Star-Lord is fine. I love Gamora. I think she's very good. I hate what they did with Drax the Destroyer. Drax is one of my all-time favorite secondary characters.
First one, it was good. Second one, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't even good in the first one.
I liked him.
absolutely cannot stand
And I have a
comedy.
distinction, I'll tell
I
you
cannot
second.
stand comedy Drax. That drives me crazy.
I agree. I liked him in the first one because everything was going over his head, and I don't know the character as well as you do. I liked him in that. The one thing I didn't like about Volume 2 was the whole genital joke.
Oh, the nipples. That's gross.
No,
I would say-
Okay.
Let me ask Blythe a question because he might. Did you read Annihilation?
Yes, I did.
So that is the Drax that we get
Yeah.
in Guardians of the Galaxy.
And I think
What do you think?
I'm kind of the opposite of Dub. I like the comic books. I loved Annihilation. I like some of their stories that are going on. I love Drax as a character in the books. But you're right. I think they have taken too much of a comedy route with him because of how well he did in the first one. And I'm not the biggest fan of the second one. I like the second one. It's a great movie. To me, it just kind of fell short of the first one, and I think that's one of the issues is that you had Drax in the first one, and he was a strong character, and the thing that was funny about him was that things were going over his head because he was more of a serious toned character, but then you push that too far in the second one.
Okay, well, here's the difference, I think, is, and I heard someone else explain this, and I thought it was absolutely amazing. The first one, he was very much on the spectrum autistic. I mean, most parents that have autistic kids that have watched that said, "Oh, he's autistic," and it was a positive portrayal. They never made fun of it at all. The second one, he wasn't autistic; he was mentally deficient. I guess that's a nice way of saying it. It wasn't handled with the same kind of sensitivity that it was in the first film, and it bothered me.
Well, I think that's what bothered me because when he was reborn in Annihilation as the most recent incarnation of Drax, he went from being a very simpleton character to being a character of average, even above average, cunning and intelligence.
Yeah.
And then to turn around and make him Drax the giant baby really kind of bothered me.
But as I say, that's my only negative on that film. I thought everything else on that film was A+. I think that's Guardians of the Galaxy. I think is the best thing to come out of the Marvel Universe, period. And that's pretty high praise.
That is high praise.
Yeah. I mean, the first one I saw like 7 times in theaters, and I just loved it. I loved the way they opened up the cosmic universe and the way they built it up, the soundtrack. And it was one of those things where before you had these characters that were C and B list characters, but outside
B is pushing it.
Yeah,
with the Guardians.
Outside, yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Outside of the comic book community, nobody knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. I would talk to friends who had never read a comic book in their life, and they're like, "What is this? Like, I seen the trailer for this, and this just looks outlandish." And then it comes out and it blows up because they really handled it so well.
Like I said back on the Phase 1 show, when they succeeded with Avengers, they could do anything.
Yep.
And I don't think Guardians is my favorite movie, but I do love it. I love what they did with it.
I'd even say, just to button it up, to me, it felt like remember the old 80s movies that we used to watch? That's what it felt like to me as well too. Like it had that kind of that nuance of like 80s that you can bring your kids to. Like, this is what I used to watch when I was growing up and I was your age. And and they weren't constricted to like the rules and regulations of being on Earth. Like they did have their rules with the Nova Corps, but it was like the Wild West.
Outside of it.
Yeah, it was the Wild West. Like, you could basically get away with
Except
anything.
I'm still waiting for them to take one of the most badass comic characters in Ronan the Accuser and make him badass.
Again? At some point?
At some point, yes.
Nice. Okay, next one up is another one that I was super excited for, and it definitely paid off, was Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I was super excited, but then I think back, how many times are they going to redo Spider-Man again? But they didn't do a stupid origin story.
Thank goodness.
Because we don't need it. We all know.
I love the Instagram filming of like of Civil War, like him in the background, like okay, I'm waiting. Underoos? Okay, this is cute. Hold on. And you just see him go over there.
Well, they could have done a lot with Peter Parker. It's like, again, the choice that they made him the more modern, younger Peter Parker, who was eventually going to be kind of being mentored by Iron Man, which happened in the comic books as well. And Holland nailed both Peter and Spider-Man absolutely perfectly.
Because he's a kid. That was one thing that no other Spider-Man before Homecoming, they never. He was
30?
never. Even if they had him playing like in high school in the movie, the actor was never a kid. They never felt like a kid. And Peter Parker has always very much been a kid, and that's with the whole Instagram thing. Like, that's something a kid would do. He's excited to be there. Yeah, he's a nerd.
That.
He makes his own web shooters.
I'm like,
yeah,
no,
exactly.
he's too cool. He's coming to school and on a skateboard,
Right.
perfect hair. I'm like, no, that's not Peter.
Well, they definitely, like, especially with the second one, The Amazing Spider-Man, they went with more of his wit, like his sarcasm, and which I enjoyed. I liked it, but it was like they put Toby and Andrew Garfield together, and then got Tom Holland, and that was the perfect blend because he was not innocent, but he was the naive, very smart, but not kind of socially awkward. But then he had when he was in the suit, he had a little bit of the sarcasm, and then he. As the movie went on, he got better. He got more confident.
The only thing I want to see them do with Tom Holland is I want to see more of the absolute genius that Peter is.
Yeah.
I want to see that come out a little bit more.
Well, and I think once they get him with Mr. Fantastic, I think that's going to change everything because that's going to unlock his mind a lot more.
Well, and now that Tony's gone, now maybe he'll feel like he needs to step up and be the
Tony
smart
was making
one.
his stuff. He's not going to have that anymore.
Yeah.
And necessity is the mother of all invention.
I think we're going to see that. I think in Phase 4 they're really going to open him up to being the smarter Peter Parker, the one
I hope so.
where you can see him being more of a genius because the groundwork's already there. Like, he made his own shooters. He made, even though his first costume is very simplistic, there's still little bits of technology there that you can feel.
They've hinted at
so
it.
it's there, and I think we're really, especially with the absence of Tony Stark, I think we're really going to see it.
Okay, next one up is Thor Ragnarok, or as I like to call it, Wannabe Planet Hulk. Love Planet Hulk, by the way. I wish they would have went more towards that.
Not that I didn't. I did like the movie. I thought
loved the
it
movie,
was
but
fun,
I wish it would have been
really
Planet
lighthearted. But the fact that they destroyed Planet Hulk, which is one of the best Marvel stories ever written,
they could have very easily left it alone, so that
They
they
should
could
have.
still have that for the next.
they should have.
Well, they kind of burned it out because now with Planet Hulk not being able to be made, they can't go into World Breaker Hulk. They can't go back to Hulk coming back to
no
Earth
Scar,
and
no
take
nothing.
take it back
that's
for
a
revenge.
shame.
And
I think that's one of those things, though, where, and I give Marvel a lot of credit just because of everything they've done. I think it's one of the things we touched on before, where you have a story that fits the comic book so well, but they just have to, if they want to use a piece of that story or some of that story, they have to make it fit the universe. To me, Thor Ragnarok was one of those movies where I went in not expecting too much out of it, and it blew my mind. Like,
Right.
I love that movie. It took the more of that cosmic universe aspect, and it opened it way up, and it really showed how well the Hulk could be as a side character. And that's one of the things that I'm a huge Incredible Hulk fan. I don't think that he can do his own movie. it's.
I
I think,
think
it'd be
He
really.
could, but other than that, you can't.
But even if Planet Hulk is just so rich of a story, I don't think that you could have done it in a movie setting and anyone would have been happy with it. I think it's just
It's possible.
I mean, you could have done like maybe a trilogy that told out the whole story, but then how does that fit within the entire universe? I'm sure they could have done it, but I think this was the best of the situation.
Yeah, I could see that.
No, again, not something I hated. I love the movie, in
Yeah.
fact. But and I did see this one in theaters, but I wasn't overly excited. I wish I would have been, and that this is part of the kind of problem on stuff. Because I got so excited for Guardians, so excited for Spider-Man, and then I'm like, okay, what?
Well, do you think just because you like Guardians so much that they kind of Ragnarok kind of took that formula to a certain extent and have it made it to it was an 80s movie as I felt. I got the 80s feel of it as well too.
Sure.
And but it was great. It was lovely. But at least there was a lot of Easter eggs, like you saw Beta Ray Bill up there as well too, which I'm excited about.
They did do one of the best fights in any Marvel movie with Thor in the arena.
Yeah.
Thor and Hulk, that was a great fight.
Yeah. I know him from work.
Yeah, and it really gave.
Yeah, we know that. Go ahead. You can tell that story though.
Well, you know about I know him from work. That was, I think it was a Make-A-Wish. There was a child that had a Make-A-Wish, and his one wish was to come onto the set, and they gave him one line in the movie, and it was, "Oh, I know him from. He's a friend of mine. We know each other from work." And it's like, even with, I think Chris Hemsworth said, that's the best line in the movie that I got to say. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that moves us over to Black Panther,
Which
which was, unfortunately, the next one that I regret not seeing in the theaters.
Such a good movie.
But again, not a character that I was ever into as far as comic books. I liked it when Storm took over for Black Panther. I thought that was cool. I like some of the later stuff, but the early Black Panther, T'Challa, I've never connected with.
It's another movie that
Let's leave it at that.
It's another movie that I wish a lot of the outside of the movie stuff didn't happen.
Yeah.
Which honestly, that I don't think 99.9999% of people thought either way. But the very loud.
I think though that it was a good thing because this is real. Black Panther is one of those things where it really hit the mainstream. Like the MCU, everyone knows about it, and and a lot of people have gone to see it. But when Black Panther came out, it hit the awards circuit. It was all over the place, and this was really showing like the MCU's for everybody. Comic book movies are for everyone. It's not just a certain group of people. It is for everyone.
Right. That's where I think that they maybe tried to swing, but didn't quite hit. Because it would have been nice if they would have just taken that idea and left it there.
Yeah.
But it didn't. It pushed
Went political and
it pushed too far into a direction that I understand, but I wish it wouldn't have happened.
But strictly as a movie, I thought it was a great flick.
Yes, I love Black Panther.
I've heard a lot of the things that people say. Oh, well, that was racist in that, or that was pro whatever. I didn't see it in the movie, and maybe I'm simple. I didn't see it. I saw an entertaining movie that it wasn't needing, and it didn't really make a social commentary unless you wanted it to.
I don't think enough credit goes to Chadwick Boseman for again
He
being
did
another
fantastic.
brilliantly casted character.
It was entertaining as heck.
I had no problem seeing him as T'Challa. I was like, oh my god, it's him.
But again, I was never into the character, but I enjoyed it once I watched it.
Just like RDJ was for Iron Man, Chadwick Boseman was Black Panther, and he took it up. Oh, and even Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger was amazing. Yeah. Well, okay. Great actor for the character. Maybe the ending wasn't your.
He's a fine actor. He's a fine actor. I think that he was presented in a way that fell a little short.
The biggest thing that I did not like about that movie was the death of Andy Serkis. He was such a great villain.
Such a great Claw.
He could have had his own movie being his own villain against Black Panther, and they took him out, and it just, oh man.
Yeah.
I wanted him. I wanted to see so much more of him.
Yeah, Claw is like, aside from like all of the tribal aspects of Wakanda, like he is the biggest outside villain for T'Challa, for Black Panther, and now they can't utilize him. They can't even, because he's gone.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, let's go with the Avengers Infinity War.
a monumental achievement in filmmaking.
I thought it's better than the sequel.
Oh yes,
I thought
by
it's better than
hands
Endgame.
Good
down.
setup. Yeah.
Yeah. Now again, going back to the whole DC is dark and serious. Da, da, da.
That was dark.
Marvel put out the darkest superhero movie
Killed
of
half
all time.
of all life.
Yep.
And they did it again. That movie. I can't criticize that movie at all. I mean, they gave us Thanos with Josh Brolin in such a brilliant way. They had a huge cast, and everybody got their moment.
handled
Yeah.
it perfectly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and I like the fact that they could have went with Infinity War. They could have went with like the Avengers and like the good. It was the good guy side. But then I saw on like Facebook like about a month or two after the movie that no, it wasn't their story. It was Thanos' story.
Yep.
Like they flipped the script and like, look, this is the villain side of this story,
Yeah.
and
It was
he
wicked.
will win.
Well,
He's going to
they
win
took some
this.
inspiration from the Thanos quest, even though
Right.
it wasn't the same story. But
Right.
Yeah, they took some inspiration from that.
And
Yeah.
and you know that his presence was, you knew that he was going to be trouble because if Hulk went after him and he readily handled him and
Right.
threw him, so like, yeah, no, you're done. Like this is my story, not yours.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Good movie. If you like the first Ant-Man, you'll love the second one. They didn't break any new ground. I liked it, but it wasn't anything special. It didn't improve or
I like the fact.
and they also weren't
Right.
less than the first
I
one.
like the fact that they could do movies like Infinity War, which are so dark,
And that's
and
so
then
light
turn
and
around
happy
and
than
do
do
not the
Ocean's
end,
11.
not the ending.
Well, yeah, but it's Ocean's 11.
but they could turn around and do a more lighter
Yeah.
approach.
I thought it was definitely an improvement. It was an upgrade. It was like Ant-Man 2.0. Like
Yeah.
at like what I
I
said,
enjoyed it.
What I said in the last episode, like Ant-Man to me was good, but it was different. It was very much a different setting from the Marvel movies that I'd
Which
seen
needed
so
it.
far.
And once again, they got a great actor in Paul
Great
Rudd.
actor,
Come
good
and play
stuff.
him.
And then they improved on that with Evangeline Gilly. Louis,
Yeah.
that she kind of was like the yin yang.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see more from her.
Yeah.
I don't think they've really capitalized on her
No,
yet,
no,
but
not
I'd
at
love
all.
to see them do that. Actually, make her-
Especially wasn't Scott like her and Scott Lang have like a tumultuous relationship like later
think so.
on too, right? So like to see that kind of develop a little bit too.
Yeah, but definitely an enjoyable movie. But
And
it's a palate cleanser.
And
you needed that after.
Give credit for doing an interesting take on Hank Pym with Michael
Yeah.
Douglas.
Yeah, because how boring of a character is Hank Pym?
One of the most boring.
Well, and you got it, and it's set up for like how like after the end of Infinity War, it's like, well, how are they going to? How are they going to do to turn this back around? Because how's this going to end? And that kind of introduced the quantum realm and like that, like how they were going to be able to do what they did for Endgame.
Quantum Realm / Negative Zone.
Negative Zone, Phantom Zone for
The Zone period. Okay, next up is Captain Marvel. We've discussed it to death already.
No, one quick thing.
Okay.
I thought, again, seeing it, I thought as a standalone movie, I actually enjoyed it very much. I thought they did a fine job, and as I said, all the outside crap I wish wasn't there. Because,
I don't even mention it,
because
it's
as a
ridiculous.
movie, just take it for the movie that it was. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it completely.
I enjoyed it too. I think the one of the pieces that falls short for me is how they handled the Skrulls. In the movie
agree.
itself, I loved the movie. I liked the way that they did it, but it kind of turns off one of the best stories that Marvel has, and it just was like,
They could turn around and make them villainous again if they make a larger scale
Yeah.
version of them, and this could have been just a rogue group.
And that would
But
be
I
great.
agree. Making them sympathetic was
yeah, it worked for the movie.
Problematic.
I loved it in the movie, but at the same time, I'm like, you're kind of
Yeah.
shoehorning yourself for this bigger story.
Yeah, I just kind of wish it was in Phase 1. It just felt like a Phase. I enjoyed it. I
Phase
just
1
feel
movie.
it was a Phase 1
Yeah,
movie
for
because
sure.
then they could have brought back the Skrulls later on and be like, okay, well, where have they been? Okay, well, now they're coming to take back over the Earth. All right, great.
And maybe we get it. I hope that we do, because the Secret Invasion
Wars,
is such a
Secret
great,
Invasion,
such a great story.
Okay, next up, Endgame. We did a whole show on it. Jason, if you want to do your thoughts real quick, but of the three,
I
other
kind
three
of did
people
something
that
on the page, but the bottom
Okay.
line is I thought it was I thought it was a B movie because it did have some things in it that were flawed. But the A+ moments of that movie basically overshadow everything. So yeah.
Okay, and Spider-Man Far From Home we haven't seen, but we're all excited for
It's
it.
gonna be amazing.
Okay, so let's move on, and we're doing a 33-66.
66% truth, 33% lies. Can you tell the difference?
Okay, guys, here I got for my 3366. The
Oh, you're going to be polite now for Bly's. For me, it's always, this is a 66, 33.
Okay, 33-66. He doesn't bother him.
Oh, okay.
If it bothered
Well,
him,
then it's, no, that's true.
Two truths and a Leia.
two truths and a lie.
Two Lukes and a Leia.
So the first one is, including Far From Home, Tom Holland has now appeared as Spider-Man 5 times. Howard the Duck has now made 3 grand appearances within the MCU. And the Infinity Gauntlet was created by Eitri on the planet Vormir.
Okay. Well, let's do this in order. They are written down, so we are not going to cheat. I'm going back and forth. I'm going to say number 1 with Spider-Man being on 5 because I believe he was in 4. I think we've seen him 4 times. Don't tell us until we're done.
Oh, me? I initially wrote 2, but at the last second before we killed it, I changed it to 3 because Vormir was not the planet.
I agree with PB. It wasn't. It was number 3. It was the Infinity Gauntlet one.
Yes, the lie is the third one, that the Infinity Gauntlet was created on Vormir. The Infinity Gauntlet was actually created on Nebudelir.
Yeah. See, as proof, there's my 2 that at the last second I turned into a 3.
Yes.
Yeah, because
because with Howard the Duck was the Collector in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2, he's in the bar talking to the girl.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's,
And then in Endgame, when they just
half a second.
but he had a huge gun, he came out there. So there's your 3.
Yep. And Tom Holland will be 5 movies: Civil War, Homecoming, Far From Home, Infinity War, and Endgame.
And then, did you know that Howard and Rocket are going to be in a superhero movie called The New Zoo Review?
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Wow. Okay.
Now,
fair enough. You guys tied, so let's let the tie go to the guy that gave the 33-66 today for the ending. For the keep on geeking on.
Sure.
No, I'm kidding. That's fine. No, that's fine. Sure.
Okay. So
yeah, sure. Whatever. Guest.
Wow. So let's move on to our listener feedback.
And now, let's see what all of our geek rock stars have to say.
Okay, for our listener feedback today, we said, what was your favorite story arc for the MCU? And again, like the last couple of weeks, I lost a lot, so we're going to be going through. If you didn't tell me why you liked it, I'm not going to read your
answer.
But I still did miss a lot, and I apologize. I will fix this for next time we do.
Anybody sending me an email, I will, do whatever you want me to do to him because I hang around him all the time. So, I got connections.
Okay. So let's start with Katie May. Said, the obvious answer is probably the evolution of Tony Stark, and that is awesome. But my real favorite is Bucky, Winter Soldier, White Wolf. Bucky is one of my favorite characters, and the growth and evolution of his character, especially over the Captain America films, has been fascinating. I can't disagree, Katie, and there was no black cars that they drove either. So, okay. John from California said Thor's evolution has been really good. I shouldn't have read that. I'm just kidding, John. I love you. Danielle Ariana, Black Widow's journey all the way to the end, and that's absolutely because you do literally see her entire arc. Yeah, you really do see her whole arc. It's pretty amazing. Christina Belden, for me, is Black Widow. To see her evolve from a cold-hearted assassin to the leader who held everyone together and never gave up on Clint. She came so far and inspired and broke me in Endgame.
She deserved a funeral right alongside Tony.
Yes,
Stark.
that was a shame.
Yep.
Iwalani said, it's all about fun and music, so mine is Guardians of the Galaxy. Daniel Houston, Tony Stark's development. Still haven't seen Endgame, though. Ooh, shame on you, Daniel. Daniel. Oh, man, I'm going to have Elton John come
Why are
sing a
you
song
listening
about
to this?
But thank you for listening. Jen Thurman, even though he's not my favorite character, I really like the way Steve Rogers' story came full circle. And Eric Broughton said, of course, Thor's whole development from skinny to fat. Which I kind of like. Okay, so...
Because me too, because I had a development from skinny to fat. But I'm going back to skinny, hopefully.
We hope. That's what I'm trying to. We hope. Yeah. Okay, so let's go on to the main event.
Now it's time for the main event.
Okay, on this main event, we're doing something a little different than what we've been doing.
We are.
Well, we've been doing MCU stuff and what's your favorite. So we're going to get some opinions on stuff. No one has read these to each other, so I'm pretty sure there's not going to be any overarching. So no matter what you want the universe to keep going or rebooted, which there's arguments for both, and I don't care. I want to hear the top 5 story arcs you would like to see come next. Now, you can do either one if you want it to be rebooted or if you want the universe to keep going. I don't care one way or the other, honestly. I have both on here as it keep going and as reboot.
Really? I absolutely do not in any way, shape, or form want the universe rebooted.
Okay.
I don't care if it evolves. I would love for it to. It's going to evolve. But rebooted? No. Please don't.
Okay, so I'm going to start with my number 5, and what I would like to see is a 3-film arc of Deadpool Corp. If you ever tell me that would not be entertaining, R-rated, and probably the best thing for Deadpool.
I suppose.
I love Deadpool Corp. It was like
it's another brilliant casting. I mean, he's perfect.
But it's a 10-issue arc that was just brilliant. I loved it, and it's Deadpool from different universes. But there's like Kid Deadpool and Girl Deadpool and Dog Deadpool. I love it. Head and bodiless head floating Deadpool, which is fun.
I think we got to figure out how to fold him into the universe first before we do a whole multiverse of
I'm just saying the future.
Yeah.
The future.
They got the perfect setup.
Oh, sorry. One that I would like to see play out is something that was just recently done in the comic books, and that's Civil War 2. I really like the story of some kind of superpowered hero being able to see in the future, and then that's a whole other thing that they have to go down and figure out is, do you pre-handle issues, or do you just let them play out?
Pre-crime.
Yes, pre-crime.
Minority Report.
Yep.
Icky. Thought police.
Oh my gosh, I got like 14 of them.
Really?
Well, we'll go with the obvious one. So Adam Warlock will be my number 5.
And we will see that.
Love Adam Warlock.
Yeah.
I'm such a fan of Adam Warlock.
And, oh gosh, what's his counterpart?
Her.
Mangus.
No, Magus.
Oh,
yeah,
his evil
his
counterpart.
evil side of it and whatnot.
Magus.
Just
The Church of Universal Truth? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
yeah, like just get that. That's just going to be a whole.
And also her, the goddess. That's his other
right.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's and just how they play him in with the Guardians of the Galaxy and the whatever space odyssey that they concoct is going to be amazing.
I heard a casting rumor the other day that said they're looking to get the guy who plays Jaime Lannister.
Ooh,
For Adam Warlock?
For Adam Warlock.
that would be. I cannot.
Just a casting
Wow.
rumor. I don't think anything is confirmed.
I like
but
it.
I've heard Zac Efron has been.
I've heard that
strong.
too. Yeah,
Like,
Zac
he'd be
Efron.
great,
Those
too.
are the two that I've heard.
Well, why don't you
as of
piss off
recently.
everybody and make it Robert Pattinson for him too?
Yeah.
That is
P.S. I'm so sick of these memes. Knock it off.
that's another episode. Like I've been hearing some arguments about that. Maybe.
Is he going to sparkle? I don't know. Was Michael Keaton? Did he do a vacuum?
From what I
Mr. Mom?
understand, Pattinson has been in
a lot.
dozens of other roles.
Yeah.
And he hated the movies. He hated the Twilight movies
Yeah.
just as much as anybody else. So it's kind of.
I think it's let him have a
Yeah,
chance.
it's not about the
cares?
actor. It's
I just
about
wanted
the
to- I just
director
wanted
and
to
the
get
writer.
25 pounds of muscle. That's he's
I'm sure
too
he
skinny.
can. All right, my number 5 is every single thing that has to do with Spider-Man being purchased from where it is now at Sony and brought over to the MCU.
Carnage. I wanna see Carnage.
We could
Right.
do everything Spider-Man with his amazing gallery of villains and everything properly. And
Absolutely.
maybe we'll finally see. I mean, Venom is slowly getting a little better,
Yeah.
but they could do the perfect Venom in the MCU.
But the comics are so perfect.
Oh, and
I
just
don't
and just Spider-Man, Deadpool.
And they're talking about Norman Osborn. Oh, bring him
Yep.
in.
Yep.
Bring
Oh,
in
yep.
the Green Goblin. I'm all for it.
So, okay, my number 4, and this one, I thought of Jason when I wrote this one, because I want to see this. When we have the Fantastic Four come in, I want to see Hulk fight Thing.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Who does not want to see that epic battle?
Be into
And make
that.
it 20 minutes
If
long.
you don't want to
And
see that, we can't be friends. I mean, seriously.
That's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
And Hulk's going to win, we know. But I
Shut up!
It's a fact. You know it's true.
But he'll hold his own. Ben Grimm's awesome.
Oh, Ben Grimm's not going to die on it, but yeah.
That's the thing. You say Hulk wins, but he's now Professor Hulk. And we saw in that piece of Endgame, he doesn't have the veracity that the Hulk normally has. So I think Ben
Well,
Grimm could
maybe-
he's got to come back.
Maybe the Thing is going to be the thing that gets him to be
Ooh,
the Hulk
I'm
There you
in.
go.
part of the
Or-
time.
All right. I'm into it.
I'm going to blow your mind on this one. They bring in Doctor Doom because Doctor Doom is a mystic as well. You know how? Because I got with Endgame how the Ancient One hit Banner out of the Hulk, and my
Separates
first
them.
inkling was put him back in because if the Hulk wakes up, you all are screwed. So
Yeah.
with that, maybe Doctor Doom does that. He goes back into his Savage Hulk again, and then the Thing has to fight him.
Nice.
to bring
I'm
him
in.
down.
Love it.
Yep.
I'm in.
Fight.
My number 4 is anything with Kang the Conqueror. I really want to see
nice.
him into the universe.
Interesting.
I had a end credit scene written for Kang the Conqueror after Endgame
Oh,
that
very
I really
good.
want to see play out. I didn't get to see it, but I think with what they did with time, I think we really could see Kang the Conqueror come in as an entity from the future that knows what they did when they went and meddled with time.
Nice.
Excellent. Well, with this being such a diverse universe and growing with Black Panther and all the other, hopefully Namor. I know that Namor is good, but that's a different story. I would love to see Excalibur.
Oh,
Okay.
See the British Avengers come out and do Captain Britain. And
I was just thinking Captain Britain would be really cool. Captain Britain versus Captain America. Sorry.
So this is crazy. In Endgame, when Steve Rogers is in Peggy Carter's office, if you turn on the subtitles, she says their operative in Britain they're talking about an operative
Really?
in
So
Britain,
there's
which
like-
is people's kind of thinking that they were talking about Captain Britain.
either
That's
either a
outstanding.
tip of the hat or just it was there the whole time.
Yep.
We said it.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
nice. Is it me? Mm-hmm. My number 4. This would be like a side kind of thing, but I'd like to see it. I'd like to see a young, I'm doing a quote, Avengers. I'd like to see Spider-Man, Shuri, Cassie Lang, Hawkeye's daughter.
Okay.
I'd like to see a team up, even if it's a one shot.
Yeah, they could.
You know, I'd like
do
to
it.
see if they could even do it like the Avengers go missing or something, and so the young ones got to team up. Yeah, you could do a fun one-shot movie with that.
They could do a show. Disney
I
Plus.
see
They could
TV
100%
That's
do
true.
a
They could do a
yeah.
show too, if they got all of them.
Yeah.
And then put them into a bigger movie at some point. Kind of just gradually introduce.
Yeah,
them.
they'd make a great team. Those young actors and actresses that play
Yeah.
those roles, they'd be good.
Okay. My number 3, I just changed. It was Spider-Man, Wolverine team up. Yes, we want to see that. But what I'd rather see is the real Old Man Logan. The whole thing with him destroying the X-Men, with the inbred Hulks, with everything. I want to see it.
I can see that as
Because they
I don't
own
even
the
know if Disney
characters
Plus
now.
would be able to hold that.
They
I
own
think
the
you're going to
characters,
run
they can
in.
do it.
I know.
I think you're going to run into the same problem that Bly said about Planet Hulk.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You're running the same issue.
It's
Well, but they can always, as long as they introduce the multiverse, they can do it.
yeah. They can do it. Like I said, I mean, anything's possible now with them, with Disney Plus and them doing shows. I think Old Man Logan would also work as a show.
Uh,
I think
As a multi-
10 episode show, perfect.
That could be HBO.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That should
Yeah.
be HBO. Oh,
That's a good
Game
idea,
of Thrones
yes.
is gone, guys. I guarantee. this is already better than the new Watchmen crap that you guys are trying
Yep.
to force on us.
Okay, my number 3 is the Mandarin and the 10 Rings done right.
Oh,
yes.
That
I know
one was a
that
piece of crap.
Carl mentioned it in the Phase 1 episode, but they did do a one-shot where, I forget, someone goes to a prison that Justin Hammer's in, and... Oh, no, I'm sorry, not Justin Hammer. What's Ben Kingsley's character?
They got the fake Mandarin.
The fake Mandarin. Yeah, they go to the prison, and the guy's interviewing the fake Mandarin guy, and he basically tells him that the real Mandarin is out there. So he's in the universe.
Nice.
There is a character for the Mandarin in the universe. I want to see that.
Outstanding.
That's good. My number 3, I think Dub is going to agree with me this wholeheartedly because, the DC Universe has the Green Lantern Corps.
I know where you're going.
Novacor's
Yes.
already in the MCU universe. You can have that. Was it Ryder? Rick Ryder? John Ryder?
Rick Ryder.
Yeah.
He maybe either he gets recruited because they need to rebuild the Nova Corps.
Yeah.
Or he's already in there. He was on assignment, comes back. Thanos decimated the Nova Corps.
It could be Green Lantern done right.
Yeah, like Xandar was, and now he has to reform the Nova Corps.
Yeah, well, and you always talking about how you want to see the space universe next, go for it.
Yep.
And this fits with Guardians.
They can bring in Guardians. They can bring in they can even mention Galactus. They can mention all sorts.
Bring
of
in
stuff. Yeah.
Galactus. Oh,
Or even just like, well, he's almost like Voldemort. Like, we don't talk about Galactus because if we do,
He'll show up.
He brings it brings death and destruction everywhere. So yeah,
I'd even be okay with the Alex Rider version of it, where maybe the original Nova was part of the decimation that that Thanos did, and his son gets his helmet, and then he takes on that persona as Nova.
there you go.
Nice. My number 3, I want to see the real from the comic book Defenders in a movie, and I want it to be Doctor Strange, the Hulk, Silver Surfer, and that would be where you could introduce Namor the right way.
nice.
Okay.
Cool. I like it.
Yep.
Okay, my number 2, and I have a plan for this, is I want to see Deadpool take over the Stan Lee cameo spots. I know that's a lot of people that are for against him, but here's what I want to see. I want to see, in a very empathetic cameo that Deadpool would do in the Stan Lee spot. You say, we miss you, Stan, and I hope that someday I can fill your shoes like if they deserve to be filled or something like that, and then just go off and do the normal Stan Lee cameos with Deadpool. Put the mustache on his mask, the whole ball of wax. I want to say that. I think would be respectful, and it really is tying back to and honoring Stan.
I think another thing they should do with Deadpool is when they bring him to the MCU, they should have him
R-rated?
swearing, but bleep it out. But because he can break the fourth wall, he knows he's being bleeped.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So then he'll stop cussing because he doesn't want to keep being bleeped. See, I think that would be a clever way to
That'd be
do
good.
it.
Yeah.
I think they've already said that he's going to be R. Like, they're not going to, because
Which
he made
I'm
so
glad.
much
Well, then
money.
he can
But
even
if
mention
they're
it
not
because
gonna-
if he crosses over into
if
a
he
PG
appears
movie,
in the PGs,
There you go.
There you go.
He has to be. He's like, what the boop? Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
that.
maybe a post-credit scene for his movies is him making a public service announcement that when he joins this team in this movie, he's not going to be cursing or doing any of this
Yeah,
stuff.
that would be
He doesn't
So they
wanna be-
address it
because
in
he doesn't
his
want
own
to be
movie.
bleeping bleeped.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
Exactly. My number 4 is Secret Wars, and the Russo brothers have said
Nice.
if this is something that happens, that they would come back and do it.
Really?
Like, this would be the thing that brings them back into the MCU, because as of now, they're done after Endgame. I don't know how they would do it, because Secret Wars is such one of those over-the-top arcs that it would be hard to do, like we've been talking about. But I would love to see it, especially with all the characters back under Disney.
nice.
My number 2, I feel that they can actually like kind of introduce him in, but I will say Norman Osborn. Once we get the Spider-Man franchise back, that he, like, Hammer was good, and Sam Rockwell was a decent enough character for that. But I would love to see Norman Osborn take over Hammer, take over Oscorp, have that conglomerate of they're the actual evil of Earth. Like they don't care what they have to do to get ahead. then they can take over. I think they took over the Avenger. Was it the Dark Avengers?
Dark Avengers, yeah.
And then they had Iron Patriot and some other kind of villainous characters that are in there too. So yeah,
Nice.
This one's a long shot that'll never happen, but I still want it to happen. My number 2. So they ended the Netflix shows, right? If they don't resume on some other channel, I want them to take the cast from the Netflix shows, bring them to the MCU, and do a street level group of heroes where you could take Daredevil, Luke Cage,
I think
Jessica
it'll
Jones, and Iron
Punisher.
Fist, and Punisher, and add Moon Knight, and add Shang-Chi, and do...
They could do that.
well, those two, Moon Knight and Shang-Chi, are on the roster. They're
Right.
going to be doing
and call it
those.
Marvel Knights,
Yep.
Right? Oh,
and let
nice.
them do their Marvel Knights
I
stuff.
don't want to see it in a movie. I like them better as TV shows, though.
That would be fine, too.
Put them on Disney Plus.
Yeah, if they could do that, I'd go for either one. Either one would work. Yeah.
Okay. So number 1, this is your next 12-year arc. Three parts. The first phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 would be X-Men versus Avengers, and then next one would be X-Men teams with the Avengers, and then the third one would be, I don't know how they do it, but the integration of X-Men and Avengers, how they have it in the comics now. That's your next 12-year arc, and they can make that last that whole time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that way you're introducing all the new characters, and I think that could be so much fun. Just my
Yeah,
own opinion.
totally.
But that find your next superstar team to direct and show run all that. Go for it.
Nice.
Yeah, my number 1, I don't think it would be that long, but and they kind of hinted at it in Endgame. It got me really excited. Was the Wakandan Atlantean War? Like I want to see that play out. And when they did that scene in Endgame where Oki is talking to Black Widow and they're like a earthquake under the ocean, I was like, that's them, and that's why she doesn't want to look into it, is because it's the Atlanteans, and that's the one thing the Wakandans are scared of, because
Right.
they've been around just as long as them.
Nice.
My obvious, it's going to happen. Just it's a matter of when. Fantastic Four, first family needs
Yep.
to be out. Galactus,
Done
Silver
right.
Surfer, done right. Done with Jonathan Hickman. Do the Fantastic Four of them. It would be
Don't
ridiculous.
F it up again.
It'll be ridiculous. Yep.
Yeah, Fred from the B-52 said it best. Cosmic things. And that includes the Fantastic Four, just like Kaj said. And all of they've started, they've started the cosmic universe. You've got so much you can do with that. So let's make it happen and have the Fantastic Four be at the helm.
Yep.
Oh,
Nice.
One more side thing, just because of the cosmic thing. At some point, because they've done Stan Lee for so much of this first phase, I would love to have just something of the one above all and let it be Jack Kirby. Have an image of Jack Kirby as the one above all, the ultimate. He is the ultimate power of this entire.
That's kind of how it is in the comic books.
Multiverse,
Yeah.
just an omniverse. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
I'm into it.
Absolutely. Because we already know Stanley's the Watcher.
Yeah.
So your number 1 was the
Cosmic things.
But thanks.
nice. Okay, so that's a show. I hope you enjoyed our three-part epic journey we've been on. Check out the website www.iheartgeekshow.com. Use the Call Me Paynex for it. Go to the Facebook. Look at our video that we put about this. Go to the Twitter at iHeartGeekShow. And until next time, I'm Dub.
I'm Blyze.
I'm Kaj.
I'm PB&Jason.
And the Game Maker gets to say,
Keep on geeking on.
nice.
We're going to work on that with you for a bit.
Now, if you need to go to the bathroom, go to like 10 minutes and 24 seconds in, and then you're good.
You've been listening to iHeartGeek. Our Twitter account is @iHeartGeekShow. Hope you enjoyed the show.